We live in a digital century when the challenges facing communities can no longer fit within their borders. From economic disruption to social inequality to environmental stress, the answers are not found in isolation. Today, the most forward-thinking cities and regions are looking outward, learning from global peers, adopting proven strategies, and adapting innovations from around the world. That's the mission of the Intelligent Community Forum. For over 25 years, ICF has helped communities to embrace the power of technology to create a better future for their people. Drawing on the best practices of hundreds of places across 6 continents, we developed the Community Accelerator Strategy, a roadmap for driving inclusive economic growth, addressing social challenges, strengthening local culture, and improving quality of life in the midst of disruption. Through training, assessment, and certification, we help communities turn shared challenges into collective progress. Through events and missions, we connect communities across the world to pursue economic development and share solutions. And each year, we celebrate those leading the way with the Intelligent Community Awards Program, highlighting the world's best examples of the Community Accelerator Strategy in action. Since March of this year, we have been celebrating the Smart 21 of 2025. But today, 21 becomes 7. The finalists in this year's program to determine the Intelligent Community of the Year. Making its second appearance as a top 7 community is Açaí, Paraná, Brazil. This small community first appeared as a top 7 in 2024 for bravely building a new innovation economy in a place that once thrived on growing cotton for a global market. Açaí leveraged its status as a top 7 to catch the attention of Tata Consultancy Services, for which the city has developed training programs to boost local talent and job readiness. Applying the Community Accelerator Strategy, Açaí began to stand out in recruitment and boot camps, achieving strong results and increasing the city's economically active population. Now, Tata Consultancy is opening a major hub in Açaí that marks a milestone in talent development and economic growth. Bursa Metropolitan Municipality is the first city in Turkey to appear on a top 7 list. The city is emerging as a national leader in digital urbanism and sustainable development. With smart traffic systems, electric buses, and bike-sharing programs, Bursa is reducing congestion and emissions. The city's digital backbone, fiber networks and IoT sensors, powers efficient public services, smart healthcare, and energy monitoring. From solar-powered buildings to real-time transit data, Bursa is building a connected, sustainable city where technology and livability go hand in hand. In Ontario, Canada, the Durham region makes its 4th straight top 7 appearance, shining as a model of regional collaboration and intelligent community development. 8 local governments work together to drive innovation, from building a 700-kilometer rural fiber network to expanding tech access for seniors and low-income families. And with strong partnerships with educational institutions such as Ontario Tech University and Durham College, the region is developing a knowledge workforce ready to meet the challenges ahead. In November, Durham Region achieved full Intelligent Community certification, becoming only the 2nd Canadian community to receive this prestigious designation. After 3 consecutive Smart 21 designations, Fairfield in Jefferson County makes the top 7 list for the first time. In the heart of rural Iowa, Fairfield is redefining what small-town innovation looks like. Known for a culture of entrepreneurship going back decades, it has embraced the evolving technological landscape to build a thriving startup ecosystem and achieve one of the highest rates of solar energy adoption per capita in the U.S. Through regional collaboration, strong educational partnerships, and smart infrastructure investments, Fairfield is proving that rural communities can lead in sustainability, innovation, and quality of life in the digital age. The city of Hilliard, Ohio makes its 3rd straight appearance on the top 7 list this year. Hilliard is a model of small city innovation and growth on a technology foundation. Initiatives such as the Hilliard City Lab and the city's AI Sandbox guide high-tech companies to prototype new technologies and innovations, while educational programs such as a partnership with AWS prepares the next generation of knowledge workers. Hilliard now adds Top 7 Community of 2025 to its accolades received in the last year, which include being the first American city to achieve full Intelligent Community certification, as well as appearing on Fast Company's 2025 list of the 10 most innovative companies in economic development. Kingston, Ontario returns to the Top 7 list for 2025 for the second time, 11 years after its first appearance in 2014. One of Canada's oldest cities, Kingston blends rich history with modern ambition, supported by nearly universal broadband and a shared regional fiber network extending access to rural areas. Its economy is remarkably diverse, spanning manufacturing, government, healthcare, education, and with the most PhDs per capita in Canada, its knowledge workforce truly stands out. Anchored by Queen's University, St. Lawrence College, and Partech Innovation Park, Kingston has built globally respected incubators, accelerators, and clean tech labs, including fuel cell and zero-carbon research hubs. Public-private collaboration focused on health innovation and sustainable manufacturing make Kingston a model of how a mid-sized community can become a global leader in best practices. For the first time, a community from Spain appears in the Top 7 list, as Las Rozas de Madrid joins the Top 7 of 2025. Located west of Madrid, Las Rozas stands out as a hub of innovation and entrepreneurship. The city has transformed into a living lab for smart city solutions, testing and deploying cutting-edge technologies to improve urban life. The city launched Las Rozas Innova in 2020, a public innovation company that accelerates digital transformation and supports a growing tech startup scene. From smart mobility and energy efficiency to digital education and AI integration, Las Rozas is building a model innovation ecosystem. Strong public-private partnerships, agile leadership, and a commitment to experimentation position it as a leading community in Europe's digital future. Congratulations to the Top 7 Intelligent Communities of 2025 from the founders of the forum, our institutes, national affiliates, and colleagues around the world. They are winners on a global stage, selected from among the hundreds of communities we track. During the first week of December, we will welcome the Top 7 to the ICF Global Summit in Binh Duong Smart City, Vietnam, the 2023 Intelligent Community of the Year. Intelligent and Investment Ready is the theme of this year's summit, which will offer insightful keynotes, thought-provoking panels, and networking opportunities, a tour of Binh Duong, and more, including the moment we reveal which of the top 7 finalists will become 2025 Intelligent Community of the Year. Attendees will have the option of joining an extended economic development mission to Ho Chi Minh City, where the economic transformation of Vietnam is on display. Visit icfsummit.com to learn more. We hope to see you there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, we are going to start. And we were going to have Mandar Apte here. He may be able to come in the future if he's not in India. He is doing astonishing things all over the world. So when he said, no, I can't make it, I said, what shall we talk about? And since we have just been named to the top 7 in the ICF, which, as I tell everyone, we all did it. I filled in the form, but we all did it. This is our collective wonderful thing that we've created. Because I've had an opportunity to work with Deborah and the Beautification Commission, and I've seen directly the impact of someone with a lot of energy and a lot of vision who's willing to work within the structure, political and civic structure that already exists, to do things that are really astonishing and that would be difficult to do with city money. I've made the observation, and I think it's a true one, that most of us would not want to pay the level of taxes in order for the city to do absolutely everything anyone would want, or the county, right? We wouldn't want to pay those taxes, but we can take specific, very high leverage civic activities, pull in private sector money, some grants, some wherever, hey Carla, and energy and focus, and do things of the nature where the 20% that creates the 80% of the impact. And that's really what I want to focus on today. So I've invited a few of my wonderful friends here to be part of a panel, and we're just going to hear from them about their take on civic entrepreneurship. Then I'd really like to generate some additional ideas. I got some wild and crazy ideas myself, which I will hold back in favor of hearing from everyone else. So that's what we're doing today. And so thank you all for coming. It means a lot. So I'm going to pass the mic, or you've got the mic here. Yeah. Connie, why don't you start us out? And appropriate to start out with the mayor. And let's find out, Connie, what you think about this whole idea of civic entrepreneurship and citizens stepping in to do things that improve things for all of us.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, I just want to say on the city's website, if you go there and do a search for requests to serve, you will get a document that you can fill out if you want to participate in some committee or at the city level. So certainly we're always looking for boards and committees for people to serve on. And sometimes, if you've got an expertise or a passion in a certain area, we want you. So some of those areas, he mentioned Beautification Commission, we have the Volunteer Center, we have the Resilient Action Committee. There's all kinds of places where you can plug in, so that's one thing. And I keep those in a folder so that when we have a board position that's open, we have people to choose from. Anywhere from historic preservation, I'm just trying to think. We just recently did a public art commission that's going to be working on an arts and culture plan for Fairfield. And even if you don't want to serve as a board member and have ideas, go to some of these committees and share your ideas. Share it with a council member. I've always said that, yes, Bob said, there's not enough money to go around to do everything we really want to do. And there's not 7 council members and the mayor and the small staff that we have, they can't do everything. And so having people with energy and a passion for a certain area is so important. And yes, it's important to come to the city on some of these things because depending on what it is, if there's any money involved, we have to handle that correctly. Let me give you a little example. We have a donor who's just generously given a significant donation, and it went through the Fairfield Park and Fairfield Park and Recreation Foundation. And so he has gotten his tax deduction, and we are going to be building a new shelter at O.B. Nelson Park. And so it's going to be a beautiful shelter like the one that's already there over by the Castle Park, but this one will be over by the skate park. And another thing that he is doing was going to have that skate park sandblasted and get all the graffiti off. And seems to me there was one more thing and I'm forgetting it. But anyway, that's an example of how somebody who wants to donate money and has an idea can make that happen. And certainly there are other ideas. The city owns the Carnegie Museum. The city owns the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center. Both of those places have foundations where you can give if that's your ability to. Certainly any of those would take volunteers. All of those use volunteers. So any of those, the library uses volunteers. The Volunteer Center uses volunteers. And again, if you have an expertise that you can say, hey, Volunteer Center, if you need somebody that needs to, I can run a skill saw, right? they can hook you up with, Habitat or wherever that project needs somebody who can run a skill saw. So those are, that's kind of high level from me about different places in the city you can plug in. So again, that's high level. If you got an idea, come talk to me, come talk to a council member, talk to the city administrator, talk to committee members like Deb at Beautification. And again, there's a huge amount of ideas. One of the things that's happening right now is I think somebody is interested in customer service. My husband has actually been working with a couple community members, a couple businesses that are really interested in getting customer service to a higher level at all our businesses, including our gas stations. So if somebody comes in here and says, what's to do in Fairfield? They don't go, I don't know, not sure. We want people to know what's happening this weekend in Fairfield. We want that gas station attendant to know. So that's not using any city resources. It's just banding together and putting a little program together and sharing it with the community. So that can be done through chamber, CVB, those kinds of things. So I'm going to be quiet and pass the baton.
Well, thanks, Connie. That's a great segue into the efforts of the Regenerative Action Committee. One subcommittee that, in fact, we met this morning just over here in the CoLab with Faith and Kevin, which is this goal of enhancing community connections through easily accessible media channels that help inform us what's going on in town. Because, there's so many things that are really quite attractive about Fairfield. Knowing where to find them is another story. So coordinated access will, sorry about that, to an event calendar and easily uploaded through our various channels will allow us to know what we're doing. And we have one. And again, we have many. So the key word is coordinated. How do we coordinate so that they all flow through each other and are easily accessible? And educate somewhat. I'm not a digital native, so you have to educate people like me on how to access that. By extension, this conversation takes me back to the 2009 Go Green plan, where we stated one of our key objectives was growing a sustainability culture. And I see here we are in the year 2025, and this is really one of the most active recent expressions of that. Traction Thursday represents an opportunity to come together and share ideas to grow business opportunity and create network connections to open opportunities for more possibilities for Fairfield in arts, music, business, education, which, we have a very fortunate position we have a broad-based creative culture in Fairfield, and we have a long history of it. I mean, the work Dick DeAngelis has done, for example, just gives us a glimpse to the foundations that we're building off of. And for myself, when I think of what the frontier of social entrepreneurship opportunities are, I think back of the times in my history where I've really had accelerations in terms of clarifying my goals and life path. And that comes down to a thought about building off the CoLab space and the RAC committee efforts to form what I would refer to as a community capital center, a place where mentorship, incubation, business planning, technical assistance for supporting early stage businesses gets going. That could include a lending club, for example, for the financing stage of an early stage business. A resource center where ideas can be evaluated, stress tested, and enhanced through the resources of our community. I mean, just looking out here right now, there's a lot of experience in the room that could contribute towards this idea of a community capital center. And of course, my work in the area of financial services and impact investing, I see the underdeveloped dimension of that theme being in the community aspect. Financial advisors like Connie and myself, we're good at routing money into Wall Street. We don't have much opportunity due to regulatory issues in moving money into Main Street. But a community-led project like I'm describing could really facilitate that gap between early stage entrepreneurial development and, say, a bank financing option. We have a big gap. It's known as the Valley of Death in the early stage entrepreneurial path, and very few make it through because they don't have the support. So that's one infill idea that I think would be valuable for the Fairfield experiment.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Connie. So my name is Deborah Williamson, and I've been happily retired and not bored at all because before I retired, I joined the Fairfield Beautification Commission and had wanted to be a member for years, just didn't have the time for it. So I feel so lucky to be able to spend as much time as I do working with wonderful volunteers who all have a passion for making Fairfield beautiful and keeping it blooming. And one of the things I've learned in the few years that I've been on the commission is just how ripe our community is for taking action. And if there's a system that volunteers can easily plug into, and I don't mean just putting their name down, I mean something that has framework, timelines, equipment, training, scope, tasks to do, skill sets we're looking for, tools we're looking for, donations we're looking for, what's the donation for. That really helps anyone and everyone with whatever skill set. I like to think that everyone in Fairfield is either a volunteer or a donor or both. And even folks who have maybe a negative outlook and, like, well, I don't know why we're bothered, they've got something that they like, a hobby or whatever, that if you ask them, they'll say, well, I wish we had fill in the blank. And you can almost always turn that into an action. And one other thing I love about that is the person who was negative then becomes a positive volunteer. Because, and this may be an axiom, I don't know, people love what people love. People love doing what people love doing. And so we just let that help us to harness the love and harness the pride in the community. I mean, you can just see, based on the application, there's so much. I remember reading the application that you filled out, and I had lived here 45 years, and I'd forgotten all the stuff. You've been here so long, you get blind to the most amazing things that we have in our community. It's like, holy cow, no wonder we're at the top 7. So yeah, some of the things that the Beautification Commission has on their plate this year, and we may or may not be looking for help with it. We are. We are still working on making Heritage Alley very pretty, with patio lights and flowers, mosaics, and a beautiful metal arch. A lot of that is in the works. The roundabout on South Main, that's been delayed because it's going to get torn up, but our plans are to landscape that with a DOT grant. Luckily, there is a grant for that. It's quite wonderful. And it'll be gorgeous with native perennials and just really lovely for anyone who's visiting or lives in Fairfield to drive around that roundabout. It just is going to be such a sweet welcome. We would love to see a water fountain on the square. That's something that came from one of our commissioners when we were focused on our 5-year plan in January. And it just, that's the kind of thing that folks can get excited about and are happy to contribute $20. And before you know it, you have your $5,000 for your fountain, and there you go. Heritage Walk. Oh, Joe's not here. Shucks. I'll wait to talk about Heritage Walk I'll wait for Joe to come back because he'll be interested in hearing about this. I've been bugging City Council about the value of remodeling or replacing our public restroom on Burlington, and I'm really hopeful that I'll get the opportunity to move forward with that. I just think it would add so much value to the community, to the businesses, to the events organizers, and to people who visit Fairfield. I witnessed somebody taking photos of our downtown flowers yesterday morning. And I approached her and I said, "Oh, hi, how are you? I don't recognize you." And she said, "Oh, I'm from out of town. I'm just visiting." And she went on to tell me how beautiful she thought our gardens were, and she was taking photos, and we chatted for a while. And, when you live in Fairfield and you don't leave as much as I don't usually leave Fairfield to go visit other places as much as others might. So I forget just how special our little town is. And all I really want to do is just find folks who would like to get engaged, who would like to either contribute their time, their money, or their ideas. An idea is worth a lot. An idea is very powerful. So if any of you all have something like, "I wish we had fill in the blank," please let us know. We'll see what we can do about it.
I just want to say, Deb, the bathrooms I've been complaining about for 6 years as mayor.
Yes.
And you've pushed another, she's behind me, pushing me into that council, trying to get them to get off the dime and do something. Anyway, certainly money's an issue, right? Yeah. So anyway, thanks for the extra push.
Oh, you're welcome.
I do think that it absolutely needs to get done in some form. I said either fix it or sell it, one or the other.
Yeah.
So we hope that we can get that done.
Sounds like a volunteer campaign to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to mention, speaking about going out of town, I was in Oskaloosa the other day, and if you want to see a realized alleyway town, that's Oskaloosa. They have the arches, they have the lights, they have the plaques on the wall, they have the indoor shed where people can drink in the alley. They have an alley that has historical markers all down the edge of it. They have tiling that goes, like beautiful artistic tiling, and it's absolutely realized in Oskaloosa.
Do you mean the walkway?
All the walkways and all the alleyways in Oskaloosa. If someone wants to see what you're talking about
Yeah.
in terms of the alley, they should go to Oskaloosa.
So Bob and I will make a road trip, and he'll video as I talk about it.
So I've been in that alley, or I've been in the main alley, and it is spectacular.
Yeah, they
It
have all the
is.
chairs and the tables
It's
and the
beautiful.
plants, and the planters are like beautiful old historic newsprint wrapped. It's like amazing. So everybody should go and look at Oskaloosa.
I thank you so much. I forget to reach out like that, and so many people have suggested I do that. I swear, Bob, will you hold me to it, and we'll go.
We'll maybe even invite everyone
Yeah.
to come up with us, so we'll all get a visual.
I'll buy lunch.
On the street. It's okay. It's just
Okay.
an hour.
Oh, wonderful.
That's beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do. I'm a big fan of beautifying your space, and I think I haven't fully recognized how much you personally have been involved in so much of that. And Faith mentions it all the time as we're driving around.
Every morning I see her out there just making sure that everything is looking gorgeous.
Yeah.
So much work. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Faith had passed the baton to me this morning. She was going to be sitting here also, and clearly there's a lot of passion here, and that comes up, and the word volunteerism comes up a lot, and passion is essential with social entrepreneurism as I see it. It's a way for you to get kind of sneakily introduced into something and then find out that through those human connections that came out of that passion, that all of a sudden you're involved in something that's impacting other people. It's how I got involved with the CoLab. It's how I got involved in all of my personal projects and my client projects, was through looking to provide solutions that people can connect around. I love the idea of the CoLab becoming a space that can facilitate a lot more types of collaboration. I think we have potential here that is just beginning to flower. forgive the analogy, but this Traction Thursday has been a big part of kind of opening my eyes to the potential that's here and hearing people develop ideas. And I love the little whirlwind ideas that spin out of a Traction Thursday, and you see people talking about things and ideas coming together. So I just want to be involved in stuff like that. And I've seen through even my own creative projects how creating something that people want to visit and return to and gather around, how impactful that can be, and that's inspiring. So I will put a wish in. You were talking about having wishes. Yeah, I would like to see some of our old growth trees, instead of getting chipped to the ground, maybe become something, some kind of a landmark or a sculpture, or create more art that facilitates conversation and gathering in our downtown. So with trees that have to go, we could maybe turn them into something else. Just an idea.
You and your chainsaw, buddy.
What?
You have to speak to Olmos and what he's done.
Well, does everyone know I carved a wizard?
Yep.
Does it? So yeah, people are aware of that. But this didn't start as an idea to collect or have people gather. It turned into that when I let my passions just get me involved. And then I saw people coming to see and watch and very curious. I saw people returning even before I finished to see how it was coming, where it was headed, what does this mean for you? And then everybody had an idea about what I should do with it and how to build a business around it. Maybe you should have a tip jar here, maybe QR code. You need to, everyone had an idea. And so you get to see how creativity and beauty can just spawn ideas and connection. And so it happens anytime anyone gives their time about something they're passionate about. So,
Hey, can I mention something?
yeah.
Too? I wanted to mention that it doesn't have to be adults all the time. This spring, I spoke, there was a panel at the middle school. And within a week, I had an idea from a youngster who said, we want a pump track in Fairfield. And I went, okay, what's a pump track? I have no clue, right? So I have to Google it. A pump track is a track that has, sides to it. Anything with wheels can go on it. Roller skates, your skateboard, your bicycles. So Google it, because there's some really cool ones out there. And I said, get your friends together, get your parents together. They've already got it designed. They think it should be at Obie Nelson Park. There's some natural berms there by the garden that would work. And so the whole point of that is, here's these, middle school kids, and they have an idea. And I think they can raise the money for it, and I think they're interested in it and getting parents involved. So it's a passion they want. It's something they want as young people. And that was one of the questions. What are you doing for the young people? And I scratching my head going, ooh, what's going on for the young people here? Right? And I think I came up with one idea. We don't have a roller skating rink anymore. Anyway, again, talk to your kids. What do the young people want? Mm-hmm. Sometimes they say they're bored. There's not enough to do here.
We want a trampoline park.
So, yeah. But again, so just share with your kids. They have great ideas too.
Yep. Makes the
Great.
town a cooler place to live, attracts people. All of those projects are really good for retention and attraction. Yeah.
Well, one just comment, is everyone aware of what Tommy Brower is doing with the youth theater?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a real big deal. I talked to him the other day and said, how's it going? I said, I have been inundated with donations and inundated with people who are interested way beyond my imagination. So, my feeling is that if we can incubate ideas that really meet a need, it will be met with tremendous enthusiasm and tremendous capacity building. So, thinking about how we can do clusters. And we've got a dance cluster. A significant dance cluster here in town. How can we take strengths that we already have and make a cluster out of them, amplify them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your point about a hub, economic hub type of thing, in Des Moines they have familiar with it. No. But you should really look at it because it's a perfect model for what I think you're envisioning. But it would be great if they just used us as a satellite because they already do all the classes, they do all the training, they do all the workshops. They get entrepreneurs from the very beginning. They teach them how to do business plans. They do the same thing that sort of Kelly and everybody else does, but they do it under this one kind of roof. And besides the fact they have a gorgeous website. But I've taken a couple of courses there, and they have like incentives. If you take a couple of classes, you get free coaching, free business coaching to build the business plans, all sorts of amazing things. So again, it's the iowacenter.org.
iowacenter.org. Okay. And the full name of the facility is the
Iowa Center for Economic Success.
Iowa Center for Economic Success based in Des Moines. Yeah. Thank you, because so much of this has already been built out. We need to transfer, knowledge transfer. Well, while we're on the popcorn effect of ideas, thinking about, remember Fairfield was a blue zone and our commitments to healthy life and living? And Joe, your input and insights on this would be valuable, I think. I came across this idea of creating a Fairfield honey producing cooperative whereby landowners, like myself, I live out Walton Road. I'm kind of towards the outer boundary of Fairfield city limits, would contribute my land for beehives. Yep. This cooperative and plantings to support the bees. That this would be a commercial venture managed by a creative entrepreneur. Say you ended up with 40 sites ringing Fairfield. My understanding is that a commercial venture like that would then have standing with respect to working with farmers about their application of chemicals, the schedule by which, when they do it in terms of wind, et cetera, effectively trying to build a bit of an insulating layer around the city of Fairfield to mitigate chemicals that come in through aerial spraying and other types of chemicals used for agriculture. Because, you know, we all know the statistics about cancer rates in the state of Iowa, and while nobody is yet to show a clearly smoking gun, we know that agricultural chemicals are certainly part of the equation. And to the degree that we could create a commercially viable venture, a cooperative, that would support a business person to manage, and at the same time just reduce the flow of potentially harmful chemicals in the city of Fairfield, that looks like a win-win. So it's an idea that looking for the right person who says, that's for me.
I'll also vote for farmers giving up 1 acre of their land to put in table food. And have somebody, they don't have to do it. It's a lot of work, right? A lot of manual labor, but a lot of people love to do that. So maybe there's somebody out there that wants to, a group that wants to do that.
Yeah. Well, we're actually working on that. The food web, which was ostensibly the reason why we started Traction Thursday a while ago, it's growing like bamboo under the ground. But one of the ideas, I think I can say this. One of the ideas that we're considering is, and John Kuster, I think, is back from France, so we're going to have a chat with him about the potential of putting a world-class farm-to-table restaurant right in front of the American, right on that 4 acres of ground right there, that Nick Campney is already growing, 2 or 3 acres of butternut squash and garlic, and doing a Practical Farmers of Iowa field trial. And I just want you all just to imagine coming off of the highway or going north-south on Highway 1, and there is this kick-in-the-pants, incredible farm-to-table restaurant with a greenhouse and gardens and supply for the restaurant right there, and a gift shop and a place where local producers can sell their wares. I mean, I've seen them all over the country. The Dallas shop that has all Dallas products in it. So there are a lot of ideas that are private sector ventures like that we can still amplify together, right? We can still take what is a private center venture, but I want to acknowledge Elaine, one of our astonishing civic entrepreneurs, creating incredible music for all of us. So I want to acknowledge you for what you've done all over the years. Yeah, Joe.
Wait. Yeah, I was just going to say it would be fun to hear some other people's ideas too, if we had time quickly to go, and because what kind of social entrepreneurism projects would be best for this town. It's fun to hear everyone. I want to just throw one out there real quick, because piggybacking. You can go first. I want to piggyback on Bob's idea just a little bit here, but when the town is wanting to upgrade their branding or refresh their branding, I think there's potential to come together as a community around regenerative agriculture and become a real center for that, a real attraction point where you see food growing everywhere on the square, not just beautiful things, but edible things. You see that restaurant when you get off and I'm just planting that seed. That's something I would.
Back that up and saying, I want Jefferson County, and I think you've got a group of us, we want Jefferson County to be known for the quality of table food that we grow. And that's in many different aspects. We want to be known for this.
Yep.
I feel like I'm always like referencing other places that have already done it.
Let's have it.
But there are some farm-to-table homestead type things in Iowa City, which is only an hour away, that already have this figured out and done as a good model for people like the Walker Homestead in Iowa City. So there's a whole bunch of places that have already done it. We don't have to reinvent anything. And
No, I don't know of any
something like
cities.
satellites is something really we should look at.
Yeah, I don't know of any cities or towns that have taken that on as their collective brand. Like, this is something we all want to get behind, and it doesn't hurt anyone. There's not a divisive issue, and something like that. Yeah.
But Joe, I want to give Joe an opportunity.
Joe Ledger. Apologize for stepping out, but I needed to take that one. I want to go back to Connie's comments about at the convenience stores, the gas stations. How do I want to put it? I hang out a lot at the North Low-Glise, and there's people that come through there, want to know directions to some place in Fairfield. Some of them says, what's going on in town tonight? If there was some kind of a brochure, I don't know if you want to print it up every week, every month, something of what's going on, they can just hand that to them and they can look through it. And a lot of times we take them back to the map. They have a map on the back wall of the city of Fairfield, and we show them where to go and stuff. So just a thought. Thank you.
Well, riffing off of that, we could have a little kiosk station that wouldn't be very big, electronic, where they could go and just go touch, what's happening. Well, there it is. Go over there and.
At the public bathrooms, which is.
Yeah, well, and that's also part of the public bathroom. Yeah. So who else has got Gregory?
So first of all, thank you for this conversation. I really am dying for more conversations like. And I'm holding a Generations Over dinner where I'm inviting young people, like Connie suggested, and older people to sit down at the table together so neighbors get to know each other. And so in these face-to-face communications that go well beyond, I think, media, because we're doing things together. We're sharing what we're passionate about, and we're doing it over dinner. And I think people who eat together, people who volunteer together, people who tell their stories about life together, those are very powerful bonding experiences, and I want to hold a series of these. So you're all invited to the July 18th, where I'm holding this at the McElhaney Club and the Women's Club of Fairfield. It holds 44 tables of 4. There'll be 4 generations invited, teenagers and undergraduates, young adults, midlifers, and elders. and I'm hoping to get some of the ladies from the Women's Club of Fairfield there. I'll have 11 seats for each generation, and I'm hoping to have more of these, including another themed dinner in which the questions that are presented at the table are questions about civic engagement. The two speakers who are going to speak before this dinner are Jennifer Hamilton, who will be speaking about successfully aging in place and what we can do to help our elders age in place successfully, and then also Ruth Backstrom, who wrote a book on igniting a bold new democracy, empowering ordinary citizens to be civically engaged. And so these two speakers will be speaking in the first half hour, and then we'll have a nice dinner that's facilitated by questions about people's experience of life at that particular age of which they find themselves, and any wisdom that can come out of that conversation. So July 18th, McElhaney House. I'm seeking donors so I can reduce the cost for elders and for teens to a reasonable cost. And that, talk to me for more information. And hopefully I can solicit some of you to sit on an executive committee to help me out with this. I have 2 advisors from different cities, but I'd love to have local advisors. Thank you.
Wow. I just want to say 3 cheers. This is, we just in our Community Connections meeting this morning highlighted, the value of this kind of interaction, because out of it spawns the sort of virtuous spiral of ideas, connections, commitments, and, a more charming civic experience. And it grounds a sense of agency and pride that I think we're trying to craft in these exercises that we have going. And I'm really reminded of the Eco Barn series prior to COVID that Bob spearheaded on what we called the purposeful potlucks. A theme, a gathering, sharing food, music, entertainment. But I really think you're onto something that will have lasting legs.
Thank you. And one of the other things, of course, that can build on this is having farm to table and all the hidden chefs in town that want to start a restaurant, but they could try it out on our Generations Over Dinner series.
And I want to just say a couple things that you mentioned. Over in Wayland, I think it's once a month, the church ladies have a potluck and they invite the high school kids over. Oh. And my grandson, who's Mr. Quiet, it's his favorite day of the month because he gets to go talk to the elderly people in the church and he gets a good lunch.
All you can eat.
All you can eat. So, I was blown away when he told me about it. So I love your idea. Like to see more of it. The other thing is that you mentioned was neighbors. It's so important, I think, for us to know our neighbors and help them when they need help. This is, again, our social interaction. And if you drive around town, you see yards that for some reason are in pretty bad shape. And it would be great to be neighborly and find out what's the issue. Is it a cost issue? Is it a labor issue? How can we as neighborhoods help each other in that way? I think it would go a long way to helping our community.
I think something that would really benefit Fairfield in the long term is having a tech incubator or a tech startup hub. I'll tell you why. So I've talked with offices across Iowa with Joni Ernst, Marianne Williamson, and they've all said the same thing. The future is technology. So the main initiative is technology. So I think we could pitch to Silicon Valley to bring business over here, reduce cost of living, lower taxes, less regulations, et cetera. And I really believe it will help improve innovation and help improve the quality of life.
Could you describe more in detail what that tech innovation, how would you envision that playing out? Is this like a skunk works that is developing software, or is it more of a knowledge teaching center? How would that
Yeah,
work?
that's a great question. I think it's a balance. It would be a business, right? So obviously their main motive is to make money, but they would have a research and development component involved as well. So they can help make money, which would help bring capital to the community, and with the research and development will help increase innovation. And because of the lower cost of living, they'll always be a lot easier to do than in Silicon Valley to an extent.
Great idea. Anyone else?
I would just offer, just like Phyllis has said, I am sure there's an example of that sitting on the shelf in some community. And,
There is.
And the key would be to calibrate it to a rural town of 10,000 people versus, downtown San Francisco. So figuring out what the design parameters would look like that would be appropriately suited and have immediate uptake in a town like our own.
So Stuart and Faith, and Kevin, I've got a question. Is there something inside the RAC process that could be a repository for many of these ideas? Is there some way where if someone has an idea, if you want to volunteer for the city and want to be on a board, go to the city website. There's a lot of ideas that we could generate. And if there was some place, some repository to curate those ideas and then bring them out on a regular basis, Traction Thursdays is a great mechanism for doing that. So what have we got that could function like that?
So in the Enterprise Solutions and Community Connections Subcommittee, one of our primary themes is building a thriving economy, and working to one of our primary first phase implementation ideas, projects, so we've got probably 5 to 15 years worth of potential projects lined up. But after we go through, so initially we're going to go through and we're going to map all of our media channels. We're going to figure out what media channels, what influencers, how are people in the community getting their information. We're going to figure out what they offer, who they reach, what are their products, and how do we, make sure that all of that is very well promoted. We're going to do an inventory and understand better by surveying the community what are their preferences on receiving information. How do we do that? We're going to go through and map all of our volunteer organizations, service groups, faith-based groups, volunteer organizations. Who do they serve? What do they do? What is their preference? How do they get funded? What do they need? So that's number 1 and number 2. But after we get that done, we're going to start looking at how do we innovate around public learning sessions like the expanded Traction. How do we get a innovative curriculum pulled together, 1, to feed into schools, but 2, to feed into the public at large? So that's going to be an idea repository. And then, what are our remote worker, technology workers, knowledge workers? What do we have in our community to attract these individuals? So like Jordy was saying, we haven't figured out yet, or hadn't had it as part of our list of to-dos, to have a repository for ideas. And so I think it could be something that the RAC could entertain, but we haven't thought it out. What is a good tool for being a repository for ideas?
Well, we might just reserve a time, Traction Thursday, where we look at that, what tools or apps or whatever, because, almost anything we can imagine, someone's figured out an app.
It would be good to do the research ahead
it.
of time if you had someone kind of set up to be that, and they did the research, they brought out some ideas, and then the key is just to have action steps after each one of those opportunities.
Right.
But I think having a repository and then make sure Traction is a platform for sharing.
Right.
All you need is a good Google form, which turns into a spreadsheet. It's done and it's all free.
Good. So Phyllis can help us with that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Mendy on the spot because I'm going to give up my seat and have her come when she says, "Bob, I'm going to kill you." Good thing she likes me. Give us a little tickle on what's happening with Main Street, and also based on this conversation, where do you see the chamber fitting in? What can we do to help the chamber? What can the chamber
You're getting in
do
trouble,
to help
Jason.
us?
I'm using the microphone, Jason. I'm a good listener. Also, we have to do chamber talk in a little bit, and I don't want you to be mean to me on camera. So we present for the Main Street Selection Committee on July 10th, and then 2 weeks after that, we'll get our soft yes or no, we made it or we didn't. If we didn't, you'll know because I will be hiding under a rock for the remainder of my life. But I feel very positive when we had to go through, after we submit our application, we had to submit something that said, what did you change about each section? And I said it would have been easier for me to say what we didn't change. We changed every single section. We really made our application much stronger. We've got a couple new presenters with us this time because a couple of the people that presented last time are unable to attend. And then we get official announcement at the downtown conference August 5th or 6th. It's like the opening thing, as they say, this is the new Main Street in the state of Iowa. So fingers crossed. So that'll be great. We did move Entre Day to July 18th because I didn't have the headspace for it to be when it was scheduled. I don't even remember when I scheduled it the first time. So that is a great opportunity. Yeah, tomorrow, because I look like that, right? So that's a great opportunity for you to kind of get a 50,000 foot view of what starting a business looks like. So we'll have an attorney that talks about, am I an S Corp or an LLC or whatever the other things are. And then we'll have an accountant come in and talk about just basic accounting forms that you should know, some accounting stuff. Phyllis is going to talk about marketing. Terry Baker's going to talk about branding. I think they're going to do their session together. Anyway, there'll be a lot of really great information through that. And we are limiting it to the first 30 people to register and pay. Because I'm not going to be tracing people down for 6 months to get $30 for the dang thing. So, great.
Where is that going to be held?
It will be held at Indian Hills at the second story of Carnegie Museum. We are going to use their big classroom.
And it's called?
Entre Day. Entre Day. So the chamber... the chamber right now is doing some strategic planning. So we've hired the University of Northern Iowa decision-making group to come in. They met with some of our board members, some of our community partners, and we're really looking at what do we really need the chamber to be? Because a chamber has really manifested into a lot of different things, and every single chamber is 100% different. What we do here in Fairfield is very different than what they do in Ottumwa, which is very different from what they do in Oskaloosa, and that's great. So we are going to do some focus groups, so watch for announcements of when the focus groups are if we've selected you to be on those. So we're going to do 3 focus groups, and then we're going to have a 5-year plan that this is what the chamber is working towards for the next 5 years. FEDA Grow Fairfield just went through the same process. They've learned that everybody wants them to work on housing, so they're working on housing. So if you have input on what you think the chamber should be or what you'd like to see the chamber do, please just email me. We know that we have to change as our businesses change. You know, there's a lot more digital. I've been really shocked I'm in my 4th year now as the chamber director that we have so many small and at-home businesses. The work from home, I have a website that makes a ton of money, but you don't even know that it's here in Fairfield. So we've really reached out to that demographic more recently because, one, it's our lowest membership rate. If you're a home-based business, it's at less than $150 a month or a year to be a chamber member, and then you get all of the benefits of being a chamber member. So we know that there are some nonprofits, same thing. So we know that we have to change as the community changes, and we listen. So most people, when you get a satisfaction survey, like after you go to that conference that was really boring and they should have chosen way better speakers, you fill out that form and they just go, okay, cute. They filled out a form and they put it in a file. I read that and we make changes. Like we actually have a debrief about every one of our events and we go through every one of those and we make changes based on that. So the chamber will be what we need to be. We will partner with the people that we need to partner with, and we'll do whatever is in the best interest of our community.
Mandy, thank you very much.
And sorry I was late. I had to do a ribbon cutting. Wanderers Hall, by the way, is the cutest place.
Do we have time for one more?
One more, and then we'll wrap up.
Okay. So thank you all so much for coming and for your ideas and for being so engaged. As I sit here and I'm thinking of the 45 years I've lived in Fairfield, and I've heard ideas and plans and ideas and plans, and I've always wondered, like, well, then what happened? What happened? Well, what often happens is people think someone else is going to do it. And so I would encourage each of you to think, maybe I could do it. And when I say do it, I don't mean just take the idea and run with it. I mean find 1 or 2 organizations that have a similar mission or vision and join them and try to spend some time doing that until you understand all the connections they have. Like, for example, Beautification Commission isn't so much connected with the Chamber as we are with the high school and the Girl Scouts and the Lions Club and Sierra Club. So we have those connections because those are our partners and levers to getting things done. If you join an organization and you're rolling up your sleeves and doing stuff with them, you're going to learn so much that will help you take the next step 6 months, 12 months later to execute on the great idea we talked about today, or last year, or 10 years ago. Some of these great ideas have just been around, waiting for someone to say, I'll do it.
You just beautifully illustrated kind of the source code principle behind success, which is to harness the power of networks. Because, you know, we bring in the expertise and leverage that into the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
That's great. Well, okay. How about a round of applause for our panel and Mendy and all of us? We're applauding all of us. Okay, so committee announcements. I will start. Next week, Jenny Salmons. Has everyone been following Jenny? How she is like everywhere. I mean, is she back there? Yeah. So Jenny is going to talk to us about building her art-based business. After that, Andrew Nash, who is my arborist guy, is going to be talking about sweet green natives. This is a really big deal. He's building a business helping people purchase and plant native plants. And so we all want to kind of put some wind under his wings. The next gal is a fascinating person. She was a professional athlete for 15 years, 20 years in India. Believe it or not, a skate hockey person. Now, I didn't think they had skate hockey in India, but apparently it's a thing. And she was on the international team. She is creating a coaching business based on some really interesting principles. So she's going to talk about Nevermind Shreya, which is the name of her business. And then the following week, Lindsay Bauer is going to come and give us a download on what's happening with FACC, what their long-term vision is, get some additional input from us. So that's what's happening in the next 4 weeks. Anyone else have any community announcements? Yes.
Mindy, of course. Okay, so 2 things. One, Leadership Fairfield is getting ready to start again, and one of the things that we learned is to be an impactful class, they need to do something that supports our community. So the projects will happen again in the first level. So if you have a project that you would like to have these folks work on for 8 months, just email us and let us know. I will tell you one of the things that has directly come from that class. So one of the things we heard is Fairfield has so many nonprofits and there are so many volunteer opportunities, but I don't know where they're at. So oh no, I already took care of it, so here's what we're doing. So they presented it at their graduation when they were talking about their what they wanted to do. And Aeron Lifestyle Technology stepped up and said, we will pay to make that happen. So there will be a new page on the Chamber website under the volunteer button, where we're going to start with the 10 most active nonprofits in town and have them be our test dummies for it. They can go in, log in, and put here's what I need volunteer opportunities from, and then the community can go in and log in and say, I want to do those volunteer opportunities. Because nothing makes me madder than spending 12 hours at an event on a Saturday, and then on Tuesday somebody going, oh my gosh, if I had known that was there, I was going to totally help you. Yeah. No more excuses. Just show up and do it. So that is coming to the Chamber. So if you've got other ideas for them to work on, we're totally down for that. Please sign up for Entre Day. We really want to support the entrepreneurs and help you to get your businesses off the ground. And then Barnyard Bash is right around the corner. And yes, citywide garage sales are July 25th and 26th. Yes, you can put it on the map. Yes, we're having them. Yes, it's still the Chamber. Who knew garage sales were so important?
Who knew?
And telephone books.
Anyone else? before we finish. Okay, thank you all very, very much. This was a great session. Have another round of applause for all of us.